So Bitcoin has been trying to stay strong. Alts are a little bit weaker. Can Bitcoin hit 100,000? Okay, that's the magical number. 6 digits. If you think about it, we were not too far off, right? 70,000, only 30,000 away from Bitcoin. So will it hit 100,000? I certainly think so. But there's a lot of arguments right now whether or not it's going to happen next year or 5 years or 10 years, right? This sums it up pretty well right here, the bullish argument right now with inflation cooling off, Fed also cooling off or becoming more dovish. Near term, that is great, right? But long term, why does Bitcoin continue to go up? It's because of the shenanigans of the Fed, of central banks around the world. So according to this, in the third quarter of last year, the country's debt to GDP ratio was 120%. That means the US spends 20% more than it collects, or even, not even it collects, the overall economy, right? And that doesn't even mean that it's collecting it. But anyways, the point is the government spends way more than it earns, and its only solution is to basically print more money or to borrow more money. In both cases, they're not good, right? So because of this, inflation will continue to be rampant. It will continue to go up and rob people of their buying power. It's a silent tax, and this is the reason why over time Bitcoin will only get stronger, because it's not manipulated, not controlled by the Fed or any central banks or even any countries out there, right? But that is the long-term bullish case, and I think a lot of you guys know that. But institutional investors were also surveyed whether or not they think Bitcoin will hit 100,000. And 65% said yes. This is institutional investors, keep in mind, not retail investors. And out of the 65%, 58% said it will happen within 3 to 5 years. 25% said it would happen 5 or more years, but 58% thinks that within 3 to 5 years, Bitcoin will hit 100,000. It makes sense, because 2024 is the halving event, and 2025 is usually the year that follows the halving event when you have Bitcoin skyrocket, right? So that's 2 to 3 years. So it makes sense, right? So even institutional investors believe that Bitcoin is going to hit 100,000. And here's the thing. Just because it hits 100,000 doesn't mean that that's the ceiling. No. Bitcoin, after breaking 100,000, who knows what's going to happen? You know, that's when it's way too big for anyone to ignore. And people will complain, well, it's too late now for me to get in. Well, that's why you got to get in when it's low, right? But when things are low, people tend to ignore that, and they always wait until they get it on the upside, right? But at 100,000, every major financial institution, every bank, every retail player, every Wall Street player, every fund manager, right? They will all get into Bitcoin, because at that point they can't ignore it anymore. It's just way too big to be ignored. And then here's another interesting one. This is the Haishinashi indicator, and well, I think this chart explains it all. We had five straight weeks of green. That's pretty good. And you can see previous times when we had a little bit of recovery, it was more like 4 weeks, and they were, like, generally speaking, really, really weak weeks, right? But we had 5 strong weeks. Will we continue? We're definitely, one thing's for sure, we're definitely in an uptrend right now. We have gained the momentum back, right? So if nothing else, this shows that. As for Bitcoin, Bitcoin created a whole bunch of FOMO recently after it broke above 20,000. According to this article, 620,000 new Bitcoin wallet addresses. That's a lot, more than 500,000. And keep in mind, this is just within a matter of weeks. Okay, remember, early January and December, horrible for Bitcoin. Only started turning up second, third week of January. And that's when things got exciting, right? And of course, you draw in a whole bunch of people with FOMO, which is also good and not so good. You don't want people just FOMO in due to FOMO. You want them to actually FOMO in, but really truly understand why they're coming in and why it's important to stay in and why Bitcoin, is the asset that everyone wants to get a piece of, right? So hopefully people that are coming in are learning, but we definitely have a lot more new people coming into this space. But, the existing people, including the whales, what they have been doing is buying. Ever since Bitcoin started climbing down, you could see the number of addresses with 10,000 Bitcoins actually climbing. Because what the whales do is accumulate while everyone else is panicking and accumulating a lot. I mean, this is 10,000 Bitcoin plus, okay? This is your actual whale if you hold 10,000 Bitcoin plus. And look at it. Ever since, they found a bottom right around Bitcoin's peak. And since Bitcoin's fall, they have been buying more and more and more and more. So whales are still accumulating, and that's good. Also, part of the growing fundamental of Bitcoin, Lightning Network capacity breaks to an all-time high. So you can see there, right? Lightning Network is relatively new compared to Bitcoin, but this is essentially a layer 2 that offers instantaneous and feeless transactions around the world. And you have dApps like the Strike app that are utilizing Lightning Network, and Cash App is also utilizing Lightning Network, and many other wallets are trying to integrate it. But by utilizing Lightning Network, basically you can send Bitcoin anywhere in the world, almost in this instantaneous confirmation, and basically feeless. So it is definitely growing by leaps and bounds right now, which is also fantastic stuff.